Hey, Stegosaurus coming to you again live. This time I'm under my other redwood tree. Anyway, I had a hard day's work. Worked his hand pretty good, even wore through the bandage. Didn't quite wrap it as many times today. But, it's interesting. One of the common insults that I get from people when I do my thing as a poet on Facebook is their assumption about people who love humanity are somehow unemployed, and it's only those who don't work hard that believe in doing good for others, man. And no matter how wrong their assumptions are, and you point it out, one of the ways that darkness continues is people just close their ears. And so they believe that what they're saying and what they're believing and seeing is true and holy and great and wonderful. Isn't that a glorious tree? Redwoods are. Anyway, so I'll continue on some thoughts I had last time I was here. The world is still protesting, still waiting for that voice of leadership that shows that it understands that there needs to be compassion, there needs to be empathy, there needs to be understanding and respect toward all people of all skin colors and hues without any lingering assumptions and residues of the old-fashioned way of thinking, the unevolved way of thinking, the barbaric, archaic, slave-dominating way of thinking. And there are others who still believe that way, that others should just do what they're told, and if they stray from any norm of behavior, it doesn't matter how false their hatred is, they spew it anyway. Whether it's, one state you can smoke pot, another state you can't. And the way that you're treated barbaric in one and treated humane in another, well, one has evolved and the other hasn't, even though those who haven't can be stuck and firm in their ways that it's good to label people and assume what they are and add all this other imagined stuff to their actions, all their corrupting their motives and intents and life and who they are and what they do, just that you can reap some labor, be it in the form of money, be it in the form of, some contract to fill a prison. I worked in a prison for profit, so it's kind of fun, actually. Oh yeah, I have a question for all of you. That's why I got on here. I actually wanted to ask you all a legitimate question. What do you do when you get bullied online? Because I can handle it. Man, people don't know where I've been. They get online and they assume I'm a snowflake, and they start spitting stuff at me about who I am. And like one today told me I should get my coloring books, and when Trump's elected another 4 years. And again, it's always deception. Oh, and this other guy today who was just started ripping me apart on a page that I thought there would be peace and love. When my kids went to Creative Arts Charter School, there were other artists and musicians who wanted their kids to go to a creative arts charter school too. One of which was Jay Lane, the drummer for a band Rat Dog. And Rat Dog was Bob Weir's spin-off band of the Grateful Dead. And my friend Jay Lane was the drummer. So just out of nostalgia, I tried to find him, look him up. So I looked up Rat Dog. Last I saw him, they actually spent an entire evening in the studio working on my song, It's So Hard to Be Here, the love song of a soldier. And they gave it a twist, more than a song. They liked that hook. But then I never saw him again. Like days later, I almost jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge and was in one place or another. I just couldn't get a hold of me, even if he wanted. I don't know. Anyways, but he started tearing me up, and I was surprised. But I'm curious, how do you respond? What do you do? So let me know. But anyway, back to love, man. I empathize with protesting, I understand, because I hear all the time I'm pale-skinned, so some people think that they're safe to say some things to me. Fortunately, again, we live in a diverse area where it's rare, but Facebook is, all across the country, and we have friends linked all across the country, so you hear opinions all over. And, war against anybody is war against me. I have to say it again. My sons are mixed, so their friends are so diverse, and their friends are my family. The friends of my sons are my family. That's how I see them. That's how I love them. And they have friends of mixture and diversity you wouldn't believe. You have something to say against someone from China? I'm telling you, you're foolish. And I would give my life to defend any of my Chinese friends, and I have many of them. And so to even have to say that is almost gross to even say that. But when there's vitriol in the world, when there's hatred and people just look for excuses and scapegoats for their anger, and they want to blame somebody, whether for the virus or this or that, I'm telling you, I am well traveled. It's been my job as a poet. And I can tell you, any vitriol to anybody, any race, any nationality, any origin, you're wrong. Because God dwells in everyone who chooses to be humane. God dwells in everybody who chooses to do good. It matters, nothing else. Period, exclamation mark, mic drop. Listen, I know I look a wreck. I worked hard today. Finished doing a skylight. Like I said, I was nervous how I would get through this week. 3 full days and then 1 half day today of using his hand. Skill saw single-handed. Cutting through roof with the razor blade, hammering, drilling. That was probably the hardest part of my hand was the drill, because the drill has a torque, and the torque is right toward the broken finger. But I did it anyway. So anyway, these assumptions that us snowflakes just like to sit around and be spoon-fed, it's such a load of garbage. So some of us just believe in doing good for others and being humane and obeying the scriptures that say to love one another. And that's what I follow. As the safest place I stand is love for one another. And my life's been spared many times. So I remember getting into a conversation with someone once who told me that the guys who tried to kill me, I should have been harsh and try to throw the book at them. And I said, no, I'm going to choose the forgiving way, the loving way, the kind way, the way that sees the good in others, that tries to steer them out of the bad they might be in. And, he argued as he would, but, in the end, I have to know what happened to me. I had a .357 pointed to my chest, pulled the trigger multiple times, it didn't go off. I grabbed the cylinder, but I didn't know that. I was thinking about other people. Thinking if I spun left, the passenger would take it to the face. If I spun right, bus driver would take it to the back. So I processed those thoughts like super quick, like lightning speed. And I decided the best outcome that this could be is if I take the bullet. And so that's what I braced myself for. But while I was thinking all that, I had grabbed the cylinder with both my hands, according to the surveillance camera. So he was clicking the gun. I'm holding the cylinder, but I'm not thinking about it. I'm thinking about the people around me. So the golden rule saved my life. It saved my life another time that same night. After we wrestled for the gun, and one of his friends kicked me off the bus, and we wrestled some more for the gun, and the bus was about to take off, and I go running back and get on the bus, and they start shooting at me as I'm running, and boom, I take a bullet through the pelvis, take one through the side, and I get stuck between the doors, and they keep shooting, and I get down where the wheelchair goes, and I hold my head that was lacerated from when he hammered me with the .357 after it didn't go off. He hammered me in the head with it twice, and so I knew I got hit through the pelvis and through the side, and they just pump, 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 pop, 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 pop. I heard the bus driver say she counted 20 shots. She's telling the police officer that. It sounds about right. I didn't count them, but I just remember going, shit, they ain't stopping. Glass was shattering. Anyway, so where was I going with that story? Forgiveness. Oh yeah. And so after the shooting stopped and I realized, okay, I'm still alive, but don't know how long that will be, I called my son, said, Eric, I'm sorry, I've just been shot multiple times on a bus and I'm losing a lot of blood. I don't know if I'm going to make it. I said it a little differently than that, but I want to leave some of it out intentionally right now. And I put down the phone knowing that was the only call that I needed to make. And as I held pressure and slowed down my heart, waiting for ambulance to arrive, having the benefit of teaching first aid for years and being a paramedic for years, I knew how to keep myself alive. Direct pressure on the open wound and keep my heart calm and slow to stop the internal bleeding. Well, then I hear a voice. Hey, can I use your phone? And I thought, man, if I just saw everything that happened right now in this bus, and I was stuck here in the middle of the night. I'd want to call somebody. So I, in all sincerity, still looking down, holding my head, I said, sure, go ahead. And I sincerely wished him well. I never gave it another thought until I heard the bus driver explaining to the police officer that he was pointing a sawed-off shotgun at me. And that's how we got on the bus. She tried to deny him, but he pulled his sleeve up and showed her the gun. She's like, okay, finish him. Well, I'm sure she didn't say that, but she was trying to save her life, so she had a right to do that. So anyway, oh yeah, so I believe